Hey, good afternoon. Kirk Euler back with you. You know, when I was growing up, one of my favorite comic strips, I used to love to read the comics and sit until the very end of the day, just before I go to bed. That way I'm going to bed with a smile on my face. My favorite comic strip was Calvin and Hobbes, and one of the favorite recurring episodes in the Calvin and Hobbes strip was Calvinball. And the essence of Calvinball was Calvin and Hobbes would figure out a way to beat the crap out of each other and do it within the rules of the game. And they're constantly manipulating the rules because the number one rule of Calvinball is there are no rules. And so whoever could make up the most abusive rule, that was basically who would end up winning Calvinball. Let me give you a little flavor of what Calvinball looks like here. So they're hopping over the wickets with mallets in hand, and Hobbes shouts out, "You just ran into the invisible sector. You have to cover your eyes now because everything is invisible to you." Invisible sector? I didn't know whether we had an invisible sector. Where is it? Well, you can't see it because it's invisible. Well, how do I know when I went into it? You can't see anything, right? Okay, so how do I get out? Somebody bonks you with a Calvin ball. I get another point, and Calvin's obviously upset. So Calvin sets chase. "That was a rotten rule. I decree no more invisible sectors. In fact, I'll show you. You just ran into a vortex spot. You have to spin around until you fall down." Hobbes replies, "Sorry, this vortex spot is in the boomerang zone, so the vortex returns to whoever calls it, you spin." Calvin bellows, "That's not fair." Hobbes says, "You know the Calvin ball rules. Yeah, anything we make up. Well, you'll pay for this." Let me introduce you to the 2020 version of Calvinball. This is Gavinball. You see, people claim that Gavin Newsom moves the goalposts. No, Gavin Newsom doesn't move the goalposts. He just makes up the rules as he goes. So we've gone from a watch list to a watch list that had varying criteria to a watch list that Placer County was moving off of because of the varying criteria, now to this color-coded schematic that says when counties can open, at what percentages based on their new cases and positive tests. So what does California under Gavinball look like right now? Here's how the counties stack up. Purple is the worst. Yellow is the best, red and orange somewhere in between. So the vast majority of the state, under the rules of Calvinball, is essentially completely shut down on a county-by-county basis, with two exceptions. Thriving Modoc County right up here in the corner of the state, which might as well be Oregon, and I bet they wish they were. Modoc County with 8,900 people, more prairie dogs up there than people. Modoc County is in the minimal status, and so it is under the most lenient criteria. And then little Alpine County right here. Alpine County with about 1,100 people. I think more black bears in Alpine County than there are people. And if we find out that black bears are COVID positive, then I think we're going to find Alpine County suddenly shoved into the purple status. So this is the way that Governor Newsom sees our state, with the vast majority of the state in the most restrictive status, no indoor dining, restaurants completely closed down, bars completely closed down, entertainment centers completely closed down, no in-person worship. This is the way that Governor Newsom views our state. Now, NPR has their own ranking, National Public Radio, or as a radio personality puts it, National Progressive Radio. NPR has their own ranking, and NPR's ranking also has 4 different categories. Interestingly, NPR's category yellow is essentially Newsom's category purple. So NPR says this is the progression that the nation has gone through. We have 4 states in the red, that's the worst category. We have a whole bunch in the orange, that's the second category. And then we have a whole bunch more in the yellow, that's the third category. And the fourth category, the best, well, we have American Samoa and the Northern Marianas Islands. So if you're hanging out in the American Samoa or the Northern Marianas Islands, according to NPR's ranking, those are the only 2 areas that are in the green. But
the vast majority of the country is either in orange status or yellow status. So according to their ranking, good differentiation. According to Governor Newsom's ranking of our state, yeah, not so good. If you were to take Governor Newsom's ranking of our state and apply it to all 50 states, got to thank my friend Sean for doing this analysis for me. What does the country look like if you take the Newsom standard and apply it to the country? Here's what the country looks like. Almost all of the country is purple, Newsom's worst category. You have just a few states, Oregon, Washington, and some along the Rockies there, that are doing a little bit better. And then you get up to New England before you get some that are in the orange. But understand, not a single state in the union, according to Newsom standard, not a single state is in the best standard according to Newsom. So this is what the world according to Newsom looks like. Here's California, here's NPR, here's Newsom standard applied to the U.S. Now, I have long held that having one standard for California is completely absurd. Why is that? Well, if we zoom in here and you take California, invert it and overlay it over the eastern seaboard, California covers all or part of 16 states. That's 16 states that right now are under 16 different governors' guidance and 16 states that are in various status of reopening. So 16 states, whereas California, we got one standard, Governor Newsom standard for the entire state. The second point is population. It takes 22 states in the union to add up to California's population. So that's 22 different governors with 22 different standards to equal this right here. So what does this mean? Well, again, coming back here, you have widespread, substantial, moderate, and minimal. Minimal is less than one new case per 100,000. Well, gee, that sounds pretty damn good. I mean, even down here, National Progressive Radio, theirs is, right again, one case per 100,000 at green, but that means you're wide open under theirs. What does, if you make it to fewer than one, what does that mean? Well, it means restaurants, max capacity 50%. The best restaurants can hope for is 50%. Wineries, breweries, family entertainment center, 50%, 50%, 50%. Places of worship, movie theaters, gyms and fitness centers, 50%, 50%, 50%. Under the best case Governor Newsom scenario, none of our businesses get to open back up to full capacity. Now, let me ask you a question. What don't you see here? You don't see any green, do you? So under no scenario does Governor Newsom say businesses can reopen, unless he says so. You know, Governor Newsom, aside from the Calvinball analogy, which I think is apt based on how you have managed through this, I just have one other thought. A scenario in which no business can open in the state of California to normal operations and normal capacity, that scenario is not leadership. That's despotism. You've become a despot, and you've proven it with your own matrix. Now, on a quick personal note, I enjoyed a wonderful evening up in Nevada County last night, hanging out with Katie Hopkins. She spoke to a group of folks up there. She's explaining her experience with what she's been dealing with around the world. Really quite tragic, some of what she's gone through. But what I found out hanging out up in Nevada County is their Board of Supervisors doing an atrocious job of engaging the public.
I learned that their supervisors, one in particular, the chairwoman of the Board of Supervisors, refuses to meet with constituents who have concerns about what's going on. And Chairwoman Hall, if that's the case, that is disgraceful. In 18 years that I've been a county supervisor, I have never once refused a meeting with anybody, regardless of their political affiliation, regardless of their position, whether they're a constituent or not, whether they're a resident of the county or not. I've never once refused a meeting. Number two, you guys are not allowing any kind of in-person public comment, whether it's electronic, whether through Zoom or some other means, whether it's over the phone. You're making people type out their public comment. Atrocious. If you can't hack what people are saying, you shouldn't be in public office. Open up your chambers, allow people in, and listen to your constituents. And in particular, the Nevada County restaurateurs, tremendous congratulations to them for finally saying enough. They put together a coalition of Nevada County restaurants up there, and with enough of them together, they're beginning to file lawsuits. They're going to go after this governor. I encourage you, if you live in Nevada County, take a look at what they're doing, see if you can support your local restaurants. If you don't live in Nevada County, look at the model that the business owners are putting together up there through this Nevada County Restaurant Coalition. I want to thank you all for having me and my wife up there. We really enjoyed our time with you, and together we are going to find our way through this.